habits in your lifestyle. I think it's going to be a really great 21 days together. So I want to talk about a little bit about why we're doing the challenge and why paleo, and then we'll go through this booklet and make sure everybody's on the same page with rules and how the challenge is going to go down. So first of all, why paleo? So our nutrition challenge is based loosely on, or not loosely, pretty much on a paleo diet, which basically just means no processed food. So we're going to try to be eating the least processed foods possible, basically cutting out all breads and grains and other things that aren't what you can just pick out of the ground, or animals that you could theoretically know, I guess. So why the paleo diet? If you go back and look sort of over the history of how we have industrialized and processed foods, you see that as we have done that more as societies, we've gotten fatter and we've gotten more disease-ridden, to just kind of cut right to the chase. There are so many diseases and sort of sicknesses and illnesses that are plaguing our society in general, and a lot of that has just been because we started to eat more processed and more industrialized foods. Anything from, there's just tons of cardiovascular diseases and autoimmune diseases and cancers and obesity and diabetes and all these things. And a lot of times you'll see either doctors prescribe a more clean diet, or there's actually been a lot of research that has actually, even cancer has gone into remission by eating a clean diet. And so what if we just ate unprocessed foods in the first place, and then our bodies wouldn't have to worry about that as we get older and less resistant to diseases. Our bodies would be in really great shape for the longevity of our lives. So that's kind of like macro scale. Micro scale, some of you have done the challenge before, and you can probably testify that you just feel really great when you're not eating a lot of processed foods. So the three things that we really see the most of it, you have a lot more energy, body composition usually improves, and your performance increases. Because as you take in foods where you can really utilize all the nutrients that you're taking in, rather than processed foods that your body, doesn't either quite know what to do with, or you can't really use, so it has to push it around to different places in order for it to break down. But if you're just consuming straight up vegetables and meat and seafood, your body knows exactly what to do with it, and it can utilize everything that you're putting into it. So you don't waste energy trying to digest things that your body doesn't really want or need. So that's the basis of why often you will feel like you have a lot of energy. A lot of people end up losing weight, or their body composition just changes as they start to be able to burn more fat because their bodies are getting more efficient in using what you're putting in your bodies. And because of that, your performance will improve as well, as I think you'll see. Even in 21 days, there will be a big difference. So why are we doing the challenge? We love to encourage, all of you are in here and members of Hudson River or of Bowery because you want to better yourself, right? You care about your body and your health and your well-being, and you're here because you have the motivation to change. So we want to also be able to come together as a gym and help each other be motivated to also change in the way that we eat, because that's another really important part of how we can take care of our bodies and make ourselves better. And it's a lot easier to do something and to actually make changes when you're doing it with other people, and if you're doing it with other people that you know. I'm sure all of us at some point have been like, okay, New Year's, I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3 New Year's resolutions, and then a week later you're like, oh yeah, that thing. And so it helps when you have other people and you can think, oh my goodness, if my whole team is doing this, like I better hold up mine to this too. If they're doing it, then I am capable of doing this as well. So it's a good time to actually make change, because now is the best time to do it, right? Tomorrow never really comes when you want to make changes in the way that you eat, or in the way that you act or exercise, etc. So how the challenge is going to work. Go ahead and take out your challenge packet, and we'll go to the first page is the rules of of the game. So you're going to be assigned to a team. Each coach here is going to have a team. You're going to be probably with people that you normally work out with. If you have a time that, if you always come in the evening, you'll be on a team with people who always come in the evening. So that you'll be able to see each other and talk and encourage and motivate each other and do that. So you'll be assigned to a coach, and then your points will count for your team. So each day you'll get an email saying how many points did you get today, and you'll respond to the email each night as it comes out with your total number of points, and then we'll track them from our end, and we'll post. Each group will have a private Facebook page, and we'll post each week how all the teams are doing and the point totals, so you can kind of see how that's going. So each day, you start with 10 points for food. And then every time that you eat something that is not considered paleo or what is on our guidelines, then you lose some points. So depending on what it is, you'll notice, so you get all of your points, -0, if you eat a paleo meal with real vegetables. So we say real, as in not just beef and sweet potatoes. So you want some kind of green, some kind of thing that isn't just a starch or just a sauce. So ground beef and tomato sauce would not count. Like throwing some sauteed spinach or something like that. Okay. So that's every time that you eat. A question that comes up often is, well, if I'm having a snack during the day, if I have a handful of almonds, you'd also lose some points because you got to include some vegetables in there. So I have a handful of almonds, a handful of carrots, a handful of celery. And we can have time for questions at the end if that doesn't make sense. So you lose a point if you have something that is paleo but doesn't have vegetables. So if, for instance, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you snack on some almonds, they're paleo but it doesn't have a vegetable with it, then you lose 1 point. You lose 2 points if you eat a meal that is all paleo but you sprinkled some cheese on top, just for the resistance. If you have anything with dairy or legumes, or like a side of hummus or something. So just don't. It's not worth 2 points. So -3 for any paleo dessert, anything that has any kind of flour. So almond flour, coconut flour, anything like that, and then -3. Then anything else is just -1. Then you get points for working out. You get 3 points per workout, up to 5 per week. You don't have to be only CrossFit workouts. If you are playing soccer with your friends or going for a run or something, those also count, or doing yoga. Maximum 5 per week, and then drink points. So you get 1 point if you drink at least 8 glasses of water a day. 1 point max. You don't get more if you drink a whole lot. And then -1 for every other sort of drink. So juice, any sort of alcohol, soda, etc. Stay tuned with your coaches and your team for the alcohol piece, because oftentimes that's really the hardest during this 21-day challenge, is finding out ways to get around a lot of alcohol consumption and still be social. So your coaches and your team will be really helpful on that. And then you lose a point if you have more than 1 cup of coffee every day. 1's great, more than 1, you lose a point. And then plus 1 point for sleeping more than 6 hours. And then I'll get to a little bit later, but we have in here a place where you can keep track of your own points too. And there are some additional sort of logistical points that you can earn as well. So we're going to send you a survey, pre-challenge and after the challenge. You get points for filling out the survey. You get points for submitting your workout scores. So we're going to do a workout to test before and after the challenge as well. So if you submit your workout score to your coach, you get a point. 60 points. But again, we'll look at that when we get to that page. So let's move on. So tips. We'll come back to the tips. So that next page is a guide to paleo foods. This is basically everything that you can eat. So any vegetable is great. Any kind of meat or seafood or eggs, also great. What do I want to? So things we get questions on. So liquid. So there's no dairy at all. So no yogurt it's just fresh. A lot of the almond milk that you buy in the stores has a lot of other stuff in it. So if you really can live without almond milk, you can buy it unsweetened from the store, and that's okay. But I would try to avoid it if you can, but you won't lose points for unsweetened store-bought almond milk. Just put that on there. And then on the next page, you'll see just some samples of things that are not paleo. And this is from a site called paleoclaim.com. They have some other resources. You'll see that at the bottom. So feel free to check those out if you want more info. But those are general things that you want to avoid. So the legumes, soybeans are also legumes, so those are a no-go. And then also they have a no, it also includes stuff like soy sauce or edamame or tempeh, things like that. So try to avoid those as well. But snow peas and green beans are not really beans. They're, well, they kind of are, but they're fine. Does anyone have any specific questions on those before we move on? Oh, you can, Kate. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, cashews.
Cashews
milk,
are fine.
Cashew milk.
Cashew milk is also cool.
Same on par with the almond milk.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I see a food on one is ghee on one and then not on the other.
Yeah, so good question. For our purposes, we'll give a thumbs up on ghee, but no like butter. Ghee is clarified butter. Yeah, Alex.
So, I've done this before, and the question always comes up as to why things that you, like beans, like things that you thought were okay, or not
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so beans are not the worst food in the world, like obviously. And they work for some people and they don't work for other people. Beans can carry some anti-nutrients, and sometimes they can get stuck in your gut and your digestive system and be the cause of things like leaky gut syndrome or inflammation in your digestive system that could flare up, or it could just kind of be in the background. So a lot of people end up feeling better when they don't have beans and maybe didn't know it at first. And some people are kind of fine with them. Same thing with dairy. Some people realize that their skin will react to it, or that it makes them more lethargic, but not so noticeable that they would have cut it out already. But going without dairy for an extended time kind of is like, oh, I feel much better without this. The same thing with beans, and it can have some funky things in your digestive system. So, yeah, good question. Anybody else?
We have a question.
You have Kerrygold. Kerrygold. So we're gonna go with no butter, no dairy, but ghee doesn't have any of the dairy milk fats in it, so yeah, good question. Okay, so the next page starts your log that you can use. So you'll be submitting your points every day online, and we'll be tracking them for you. But if you would like to also keep track of them yourself, it's a good idea to kind of keep yourself on track and know how you're doing throughout the challenge. There's also some space on the left to jot notes. There's also space to jot notes on your mood, your energy, and your sleep quality. And this is actually a good idea to jot down and see how it changes throughout the 21 days, even if it's just a couple words like, I felt really lethargic today, or I had a ton of energy and felt really great. And then if you come back and look at this after your challenge and find that you had like 2 weeks straight of really high energy and really great sleep quality, and you're asking yourself like, how did I feel when I was doing the challenge? Is it worth like really sticking to clean eating for the long haul? It's helpful to have sort of emotional proof to be like, hey, yeah, I was actually feeling really great on this challenge. Because emotions are at the heart of a lot of our motivations. And so if you can remind yourself how you feel or how you were feeling when you eat well, if you get into a place where like, yeah, I'm not really sure, you can go back and be like, I knew that I was feeling really well, and you can sort of write down your food log, like this is what I was eating when I was doing that. So that could be helpful, and you can log your workouts if you don't log them in some other sort of workout log. And so the second page, you'll see week 1 down there at the bottom right corner. You can total up all your points and keep track. So at the bottom, there's a body weight and waist measurement that your coach will be asking you for at the end of each week. So you get a point for submitting those, and you can mark that there as well. So we can track it that way. And then at the end, after week 3, point totals and recap. You'll see all the little extra points that you get. So there's the pre-survey submission, there's a social event, there's a post-survey submission, and then Fight Gone Bad is our benchmark workout that we're going to be doing beforehand. So you'll get points for those, and then you can total all up there then. Make sense? Any questions on the point system? All right. We're gonna send you a couple like test emails next week. So if you want to pick a day or two and count your points for yourself and see how you're doing, and if you realize that you don't exactly know what something counts for or not, or if you miss points, you can figure that out before we get into the 21 days so we can really go at it without a lot of confusion. So the next thing in here is kind of just a bonus. It's a symptom questionnaire. We won't like collect this from you or anything, but you can go through it, and if you have any of these symptoms, to kind of like write it down or check or whatever, and then come back after the challenge and see if any of those have changed. So it's just kind of for fun, your own limit. And then the last thing in here is a sample 2-week meal plan from a website called Caveman Strong. So this is not something we came up with, and you'll have to make sure that everything in here is exactly. There may be a couple like breakfasts that don't have vegetables and like stuff like that, so make sure you are eating vegetables. But if you have no idea where to start, and you're like, I have no idea what I would make for any of these meals, there's some ideas in here about how you can sort of schedule a week of your eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, and some recipes and stuff like that. So let's go back to the tips page. Yeah.
So even the snacks have to have like real vegetables, even though it's not full.
Right. So anytime that you eat, veg. Yeah. Veg. Okay. So back to the.
Is the flip of that true, so if you just start following the parents, you go
Right.
something or is that?
No, just veg.
Okay.
Veg is the only requirement. Okay. So tips. First one. Start off on the right foot. Create a good environment for yourself. So if you have a bunch of things in your kitchen that are not paleo, you don't want to have to look at it every time and have to say no to yourself every time, because that'll just get really mentally draining. Do yourself a favor, throw all that out before you start. The second one is really key, plan. That is the key to this. If you plan well, if you cook in advance, you know how you're going to go at it, you'll be a lot more successful with sticking to eating clean. Get creative with how you include veggies if you tend to get bored. Don't miss the obvious points, like make sure you sleep enough and you're coming in here to work out, and then you drink a lot of water. They seem simple, but they really do make a difference. And the last one, take advantage of your team as a support system. We've seen that a lot of the people who've had a lot of success have really taken advantage of advice from other people and encouragement and engaging their team and posting on Facebook and cooking with each other. And it keeps you motivated, and makes it more fun, and makes you more likely to stick with it after the fact too. And a couple other little psychological tips that